One of the things that we learned in the first chapter of Nazir, the third Mishnah, is that a standard length of time for Nazirut is 30 days. The Mishnah says, Stam Nazirut Shloshim Yom. Standard Nazirut is 30 days. And by the way, we learned the Rambam, who explains to us that in fact 30 days is a minimum. So it's possible for someone to take more than 30 days of Nazirut, but it's not possible to take less. It's not possible to take less. And we're going to come into this question as we conclude the second chapter, because we're going to examine people who are running 2 sessions of Nazirut in parallel. So we already dealt with someone who is he's so grateful to God for giving him a son that he promises to be a Nazir if he gets a son. But he can go beyond that. He can be. Let's pick up on the 9th Mishnah, and this is what he says: Hareini Nazir ve Nazir kshyeheliven. I'm a Nazir. That is to say, I'm a Nazir right now. As soon as I say that, ve Nazir kshyeheliven, and a Nazir when I shall have a son. So he's got these 2 periods. Okay, well, he could serve these one after the other. But let's see what happens. So he starts to count the first period. And afterwards, a son is born to him. So it feels like a son is born during the first period of counting. And we might ask, by the way, well, maybe he's expecting this. Or maybe he knows that his wife is pregnant, but he doesn't know whether he's expecting a son or a daughter. And we learned in earlier Mishnayot about the fact that when he says Ben, he seems to be explicitly wishing for a son. If he says Valad, which is a child, he might be wishing for a son or a daughter. But when he says Ben, he seems to be asking for a son. So maybe his wife's pregnant. Maybe he doesn't know what gender the fetus is. Anyway, the son is born to him. He's in the middle of his period of Nazirut. He's counting his days. And then afterwards, a son is born to him. So what does he do? He completes his own, and then he counts his sons. And we learn, by the way, from the Gemara, from the commentators, that he's really, really going to complete his own. In other words, he's going to shave, he's going to bring the sacrifices, and he's going to begin a completely new period of Nazirut for his son. That's the first case. What if he swears the other way around? Hareini Nazir k'sheyehei liven ve Nazir. I'll be a Nazir when I shall have a son and a Nazir. So the conditional promise comes first. But he does say, oh yeah, I'm a Nazir. And so far he doesn't have a son, so he has to start counting. So he's going to count. So he's going to count his Nazirut. And then afterwards, a son is born to him. Now, so what's he going to do? Because his oath. Remember that the tractate of Nazir is really closely connected to the tractate of Nadarim of oaths. So his oath that he'd be a Nazir when he has a son predated his oath to be a Nazir. That's his primary obligation. So in the first instance, when he became a Nazir and then said, okay, if I have a son, I'll become a Nazir, he can finish off his first Nazirut. His son is born sometime in the middle, that's fine. He then starts a new one. But in this case, the Nazirut period of his son, that takes precedence, and he's in the middle of counting. So what's he going to do? He interrupts his own. So he interrupts his count. And then he starts counting that of his son. ואחר כך משלים את שלו, and then he completes his own. Now, so he seems to run on his son's period of Nazirut is kind of directly contiguous with the other one he's sworn. And the Maimonides, when he interprets this Mishnah, he joins it to the next Mishnah, and he actually starts talking about time intervals. So let's just keep this in mind, and let's just read the next Mishnah. This is the one that closes the chapter, and then we'll just think about the implications. Hareini Nazir k'shiyeh liven v'Nazir me'ah yom. So it's the same oath. I'm going to be a Nazir when I shall have a son, and I'm going to be a Nazir for 100 days. So he doesn't promise just an ordinary Nazirut, 30 days. He promises one for 100 days. Nolad loven ad shivim. If a son were born to him within 70 days, lo hifsiklo, he loses nothing. Let's think about that. Let's explore a bit more. L'achar shivim yom, after 70, soter shivim, it contradicts the 70. She'ein tiglacha pachot mishloshim yom. After 70, it contradicts the 70 because there can be no tiglacha, no shaving, for fewer than 30 days. That's the halacha we learned in the first chapter. A standard period of Nazirut is 30 days. So clearly he's going to do 30 days in gratitude for his son. He's going to do some before his son is born because he takes this on immediately. But the Mishnah is saying that, gosh, when he picks it up after the birth of his son, he needs to do 30 days at least. So let's say he's promised to do 100 days. Okay, fine. If he's only counted less than 70, let's say he's counted 60, he's still got 40 days left over. That's fine. 40 is fine. We've said that no tiglachat, no shaving, is for fewer than 30 days. Shaving here refers to the end of the Nazir period, the bringing of the sacrifices. So if he's got 40 left over, that's fine. But if he's only got, maybe he's counted up to 80, so he's only got 20 days left over. Sounds like he's going to have to keep a whole 30 days. And I think we can deduce from this that when he finishes the Nazirut for his son, he's going to shave, he's going to bring sacrifices. He's then going to count another 30 days, and then he's going to shave and bring sacrifices for the next one. And now maybe we can look at the ninth Mishnah, the first Mishnah we looked at today, in a slightly different light. So remember, this person says, "Hareni Nazir k'sheyeli ven v'Nazir." I'm going to be a Nazir when I have a son and a Nazir. And then a son is born to him. And the Mishnah said, "Maniach et shelo umoneh et shel livno." He interrupts his own, he counts his son, and then he completes his own. V'achar kach mashlim et shelo. And it doesn't mention that he's got to pick up his Nazirut from the beginning to complete a minimum of 30 days. It seems to suggest he just finishes it. So, and that would suggest that these two periods are genuinely contiguous. So he interrupts his own, he counts his son, but he doesn't do tiglachat, he doesn't shave, he doesn't bring sacrifices. He goes straight on. He runs these really, really contiguously. He goes straight on to finish off the counting for his other period of the Nazirut, and then at the end, he's going to shave. Well, he's going to shave once, but he's actually going to bring two sacrifices. So in this example, he's so grateful he's got a son. He's actually going to bring two sets of sacrifices at one time for his one shaving.